Living the life here with all my friends, running on ADHD and pure adrenaline. I'm living the life, short burst at a time, going so quick I'm motion sick, but I still enjoy the ride. I'm living the life, I thought I'd go in flames. Virus gave me a swollen head, but it's sweeter all the same. Living the life, swallowing my pride. Instead of shots of Ritalin, I take it all in stride. Can I get some sympathy? I'm dripping in maturity. Can you get a load of me? Kissing up insanity. Living the life, I'm laughing out my spine, 'cause I can't feel a single thing from having a good time. Living the life on the smaller screen, taking up the airwaves in a time catastrophe. Give me something to feel good. I can't go out though, I wish I could. Cloud is bursting at the seams, and I'm in hyperactive dreams. Can I get some sympathy? I'm dripping in maturity. I gotta face reality, but I'll keep a memory of what makes me truly alive.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to yet another Winchester Wednesdays. I'm your host, Winchester 572, and we are back with yet another reading stream. This is it. This is the finale of the story of Sunflower, or at least this portion of it. I think Double R said that there was more, which I'm sure we will hear about once we get back in. But yes, after this, I think planning on throughout the holiday season doing maybe a couple of one-shot fics, maybe to tide that little bit of long length of time between, like, I don't know, like Thanksgiving and Christmas, or now till Thanksgiving, or like Halloween to Thanksgiving or something. We might do something weird, but we will just have to see. We still have yet to plan all that out, but also Beach Ball Pwn is best pwn. There's no debating that. So go ahead and slap her over that net. Anyways, let's slap on over to the Cole.
I see you are
Cole.
also a man of color.
Hang on. My microphone is flat. My microphone is flat.
And apparently, like 20 people are just dying.
Oh my god, Winchester, you sound way off.
Oh no,
That's nice.
Winchester's
Good old Focusrite.
Lovely. So, anyways, well, my Focusrite decides to kill people. First
To be
off,
fair, it's only for Discord.
yes, it's only for this.
For fine on the stream.
Sound like you're underwater, Winchester.
Yes, I'll fix that in a second. Let me get into CMC's, my wonderful co-host CMC's intro thingy.
Huh? What? Hey, that's a new cute picture. Is that Tinder?
What are we talking about?
I didn't know.
No.
I'm looking at the stream.
Yes.
Oh, there's a stream?
Yes, there is a stream, if you weren't aware. And yes, we now have a cute chibi Cinder up there, provided by our wonderful chibi artists and also entire main six voice Sora.
Yay.
Where's the stream?
It's
I
on,
LinkedIn announcements.
it's on thebronieshow.net.
I went there.
So yes, Cinder is currently petting or trying to pet CMC's main, which makes sense.
Yeah.
So yes, alrighty, and so Sora, want to say something? Say hi.
Hi.
Yes. There, that works. So yes, we have Sora. We also have our wonderful fanfic editor, Double R Forest.
As CMC once said, we are adults, so shouldn't we have the right to talk about adult things here?
No.
No.
Moving on.
You want to be children forever?
Yes.
I always want to be a little boy and have fun.
What?
And speaking of somebody who always wants to be a little boy having fun, we have Forced Rain.
I always want to be a little boy and have fun. My name's Peter Pan. Just suck
Well-
a dick.
You surgery.
Well, it's time to take you down.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
crikey. Australian Peter Pan. Sorry.
Crikey. And that leads perfectly into our next intro. Onto Australian Lichen.
Hey, all. I'd just like to say I don't trust the stairs over here. They're always up to something.
Wasn't as great as some others you done.
You know, and I thought Sans had terrible jokes. How dare you?
Sans, all in good time. All in good time.
That
Oh,
also
here we
leads us
go.
very nicely into our new
Oh,
guy.
in Roman good times.
That also leads us nicely into our wonderful new member of our wonderful voice acting cast. We have Dazzle.
Oh, hello there. Hope you're all doing fantastic.
Pretty soon, this is just going to be basically Winchester flavored Dead Tree Live.
Lovely.
If I have anything to say about it, you'd better believe it.
Got it. So we're just gonna go straight into Fallout Equestria.
Oh God. Well, I mean, we
That'd be
can.
good.
There's nothing stopping us.
I added that fic 4 years ago. 4.
I mean, once again, we're not stopping. There's nothing stopping us from doing
You didn't
that.
stop. You didn't start either. I was the only one who did work on that.
I worked once, then I got over it.
Speaking of, I still would like access to that script. I have a handful of people that would be willing to, join
You know,
in.
I'll do that right now. I just need a Gmail to connect it. You can PM it.
Oh,
We can do what
sure.
with it?
Oh God. Shove it up your butt.
Yes.
believe you said we could
pee in it. I think that's what he said.
God.
And remember, kids, anything's a dildo if you're brave enough.
Except the cactus.
And we've just stepped over to PG-13.
Why don't you insist
I
on
thought
that
we were there already.
But
So,
there's only
uh,
9 of us.
You just need a Gmail account, right?
Yeah, because I have to do that
Is
in
it
order
an
to
invite
share it GDocs.
Ah, of course. There
I
you
think
are.
you can just share GDocs directly with any email, but making it so
Now,
they're
I can only
actually
figure out how to share an
editable by
entire
them.
folder, not just a single document.
You can, but we're not going to discuss that right now because we have a reading to get to.
Yeah, let's do that.
So,
I'll help you break it
anyways,
later.
let us get on to the readings of the readings and the words and the things and the stuffs and the yeah.
Wait, we have words?
Winchester, stop talking and let Forrest narrate.
As
Once
long as it's
upon
not
a
you,
time,
okay.
In the magical land of Equestria, there was several people who were absolutely terrible at reading things that all got together on Wednesdays to do fan fiction readings, and we read through this wonderful thing called Project Sunflower. So anyway, this is Project Sunflower by Hoopy McGee. This is, I believe, the very last time you'll ever hear me say this title.
Yes.
Yes. So, without further ado, we're going to jump right into it head first. We have CMC reprising his role as Aaron, as well as playing Becky Olson today. We have Double R returning as Twilight Sparkle, Lyra Heartstrings, also playing Technician number 4, and Spike. Cinder is back to play Fluttershy, Katie Olson, Princess Luna, and Maggie Henson. Sora returns to play Applejack, Rarity, and Rainbow Dash. Prince Dazzle comes to play Alan Olson, Todd Olson, Jenny Olson, and Technician number 3. Basically, the whole Olson family goes to Prince Dazzle. Lycan is coming back to play, I wrote Prinky Pie, so that's fun. As well as Technician number 2 and Derpy. Winchester will be reprising his role as Tom Edwards, as well as John Olson, accent to be determined, as well as Technician number 1. And I, Forrest Rain, will be playing Lynn Olson, Princess Cadence, and Princess Celestia, and I will be your narrator for tonight.
And you should also turn down your mic gain 1 or 2 more.
Whoa! It's the first time I've heard that. All right. This is Project Sunflower by Hoopy McGee, Chapter 31, Harmony. Thanksgiving Day. Welcome. Oh, you brought something. Thank you. You didn't have to do that. Lynn met the Pegasus at the door, taking the casserole dish off her back.
Was I not supposed to? I'm sorry.
Oh, no, of course, dear. I just wanted to say that I really appreciate that you did. I look forward to trying your cooking. Erin stifled a chuckle as her mother's Minnesota-style manners clashed with Fluttershy's inherent meekness. The timid Pegasus was ushered into the large room, which had been repurposed from its typical role of presentations or large meetings. Erin's mother had co-opted the room in order to provide for the first interdimensional Thanksgiving dinner ever. Lynn had gone all out with decorating and had also cooked a wide variety of foods. Maggie, who was rapidly becoming a good friend of hers, had eagerly helped. The room had been decorated with fall themes, and the tables had been pushed together to form a large rectangle. Both chairs for the humans, as well as padded benches for the ponies, had been provided. Reds, browns, and golds dominated the color scheme, with gold-trimmed white tablecloths and red ceramic dishware that Lynn had picked up in town. Each table had a large centerpiece that Lynn had made herself, wandering in the woods outside the compound to gather the oak and maple leaves in a stunning variety of reds, oranges, and yellows, as well as the pine cones needed for each display. The occasional bundle of store-bought calico corn or the tables or walls simply added to the atmosphere. Lynn's preparation hadn't stopped there. She had even gone so far as to talk to some of the pony chefs in Canterlot regarding what types of foods the ponies liked, taking detailed notes on their preparation and deciding which would probably work with the human palate as well. She then tried her best to make those dishes using as many ingredients from Equestria as she could get through the gateway. The result was a surprisingly wide selection of vegetarian dishes, including pastas, breads, soups, salads, and vegetables cooked in a variety of interesting ways. One laden table contained a huge array of desserts, which no doubt Pinky would end up devastating those at some point during the night. What wasn't there was any kind of meat item, as Lynn had been extremely scrupulous about checking the ingredients on everything she'd made to make sure that everything was completely vegetarian. Erin had her doubts on how well that would go over with her brothers. Todd was a turkey fiend, and the kids might not be so fond of vegetarian dishes, but she hoped the presence of real equestrian ponies would help to make that easier to bear. Fluttershy, relieved of her casserole, fled to one of the corners of the large room where she found safety in the familiar faces of Aaron, Applejack, and Rainbow Dash, who were standing together and talking quietly. In light of the special nature of the event, all 4 of the ponies were wearing dresses. Aaron was in her burgundy evening dress, Applejack in a simple white blouse and tan skirt, Fluttershy in a light green gauzy thing, and Rainbow Dash in what could be best described as a toga. Also, each of the equestrian ponies was wearing one of the magic storing torques that were typically kept by the gateway for visitors from Equestria to wear on Earth.
Um, hello. I like the decorations. They're very nice.
I'm a big fan of the fall colors myself. It's typical for Thanksgiving, even though we're usually a foot deep in snow by this point in Minnesota.
That's where you're from, right?
Twilight was wearing a light blue dress with a silver trim, simply cut and very modest. Erin had noted with amusement that the unicorn had brought her own dish to share as well, much to her mother's politely hidden dismay. It went on an already laden table with Applejack's selection of apple pies and cobblers.
Yep. Hopefully things calm down soon and I can bring you guys out there and show you around my hometown.
I'm not really sure if I want to go out there in the winter, though. According to your father, winters can get pretty bad there.
It can, but we Minnesotans are only happy if we can complain about the weather.
A fashionably late Rarity, wearing an elegant red dress and carrying a vintage bottle of wine, arrived along with Pinkie Pie in a polka-dotted skirt. Pinkie had brought food as well, an elaborate cake that had Happy Turkey Day written on it, with a depiction of a smiling turkey made out of frosting. Erin flinched slightly, not sure if Pinkie knew why the humans called Thanksgiving Turkey Day or not. Humans began arriving as well. In addition to her father, who was running in and out of the room on various errands for his wife, there was also Maggie, who was helping with the final touches with decorating. Several other scientists showed up, including Dr. Fisher and an uncharacteristically mellow Dr. Edwards.
Call me Tom.
Dr. Edwards told everyone this, while sporting a broad smile, and Erin nearly fainted in shock.
Have you met Rarity?
Twilight asked him with a mischievous grin. The other ponies snickered slightly while Rarity cleared her throat loudly and narrowed her eyes at her friend. Confused, Dr. Edwards and Erin both looked on blankly. It wasn't long after that happened that Erin's youngest brother, Alan, arrived, in the company of his wife Katie and their 2 children, little Sarah at age 3, and their 6-month-old son in a stroller. Unlike the scientists, they hadn't had a chance to see equestrian ponies in person yet, and they stopped in the doorway to stare in shock.
You did tell them that ponies would be here.
Yes, and that you'd be here as a pony. Lynn bustled her way over to see her brother and his wife, hugged her granddaughter, cooed at her grandson, who burbled back at her, and then ran back to start setting up more dishes. Erin excused herself from her friends and trotted over.
Hi, Alan. It's me, Erin.
Hi.
Katie and Sarah stared at her in disbelief. Alan was doing a fair amount of staring himself.
This. Are you. You can't really be Aaron, can you?
Well, how's this? You remember what happened on your 7th birthday in the treehouse when I caught you with...
Okay, I believe you. Okay?
It's really me. I swear. Hi, sweetie.
Her niece snatched her hand away from Erin's mane as if she was going to get into trouble.
Don't touch the ponies, Sarah.
It's okay if she asks first.
We don't want to offend anyone.
Don't worry about it. They're just as interested in meeting you as you are in meeting them. Alan, will you quit that?
Her brother snatched his hand away from poking her ear in a move that was comically similar to her daughter's.
Sorry. It's just hard to get used to, you know?
You think? Oh, and is that little Eric? He's gotten so big. Hi, little guy. I'm your Auntie Erin.
The baby stared back at her with wide, amazed eyes and reached out towards her. Erin, having had experience with her nieces, wisely stepped back. That left a space in front of a baby, which was quickly filled by some pony else.
Oh! Oh my goodness! Is that a human baby?
Fluttershy eagerly barged in front of Erin, who blinked in surprise at the uncharacteristically bold display from the Pegasus.
Oh, he's so cute! May I see him?
Katie, with a dazzled and disbelieving look on her face, gave her permission, and Fluttershy moved in to get a closer look. The Pegasus leaned towards the baby, smiling gently and cooing with delight.
Fluttershy, you may want to watch out for
Ouch!
his grabby little hands.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Let me help you.
Fluttershy showed amazing levels of calm for her, as the woman knelt down to try and disengage the baby's tightly clenched fists from her pink mane.
Oh, it's quite ouch. All right, I don't want to be a ow bother.
The two of them began apologizing profusely to each other, while Eric did his best to detach Fluttershy's mane from her scalp, utilizing the amazing grip that infants were occasionally known for. Finally, Fluttershy was able to escape with the majority of her mane intact, and Eric had managed to hold on to several strands of long pink hair, so everyone was happy. Alan finally continued the conversation once the baby mane drama was over, and Fluttershy had retreated back to a safe distance, checking her mane for bald spots.
So, how's Equestria?
It's nice. I think you'd like it there.
They chatted for a little while longer, just catching up until Todd and his wife Jenny showed up with their 2 daughters in tow. It was nearly a repeat of a few minutes ago, with the 2 adult humans staring in awe at Aaron, while the 2 little girls, Becky and Emmy, stared at every pony in sight in wonderment.
Is that really? It is her, man. Don't ask her to prove it. She remembers everything, remember?
Only the really embarrassing stuff. Becky, Emmy, hi! Did your mommy and daddy tell you I am? Or Auntie Aaron? I am. I got changed so I could meet the ponies. You like the ponies?
Becky nodded gravely, and her little sister mimicked the action.
Did you want to touch my mane? You can if you want to.
Fluttershy, standing nearby, squeaked in panic and took a step back, but Becky only patted her aunt gently on the side of the head. Emmy wasn't quite as restrained, slapping her excitedly on the leg.
No hitting, sweetie.
They all chatted for a bit longer, and then Erin took her brothers and their wives around to meet her friends, as well as the scientists who had showed up for the feast. Much to Erin's surprise, Shining Armor also showed up, with his wife Cadence, very obviously pregnant, and the 3rd alicorn that Erin had ever seen. The 4th, if she counted Malachite. She wondered how many alicorns there were in Equestria, and made a mental note to ask Twilight later. Cadence didn't have the same bearing or ethereal mane as Luna and Celestia, but she was introduced as a princess. That had many of the humans bowing awkwardly, until Cadence managed to convince them that it wasn't necessary. Erin wandered around, joining and leaving groups almost randomly, chatting for a while and moving on, just trying to help the ponies and humans mingle. All the while, she was glad to have so many of her friends and family around. Though things started out awkwardly, the ponies and humans finally started to mingle without Erin's direct involvement. Soon enough, Lynn deemed the food ready, and everyone seated themselves. Several wines were opened, including Rarity's Equestrian Vintage, as well as fruit juices and the like for the children, and those who didn't want to drink. John stood up to give a short Thanksgiving speech.
Today marks the first Thanksgiving with our new equestrian friends. A year ago, it felt like we had very little to be thankful for. But today, the world seems full of blessings. Our world is safe again. We shall have this amazing new technology that lets us travel to other worlds. And, most important of all, we have our new pony friends who saved our world.
He held up his glass, and the ponies and humans around the room did the same.
I offer a toast to family, to friendship, to the bonds that keep us close, and to the harmony that encompasses us all. We are, all of us, truly blessed.
He drank, and the others around the table did as well, except for the children, who were already sneaking bits of food off their plates while the adults were occupied. Everyone started eating after that, passing around the dishes and generally complimenting Lynn or the ponies who'd brought dishes. Erin tried Fluttershy's dish and found it delicious, a creamy potato casserole loaded with vegetables. Around the table, various conversations started up, and Erin found herself overhearing some of them. One of which was between Alan, Cadence, and Shining Armor.
Of course. Even though the tide is gone, the people who lived where it grew can't move back. It's barren rock. We're finding homes for them all over the earth. But I have a feeling a lot of them will be settling in Zanibra once we get it ready for colonization.
We can probably help with that. Some teams of Earth ponies might be able to help break up that rock and make the area livable again.
Well, apparently we first need to extract any bits of the tide that are still left alive in it.
The news that there was pockets of tide left alive had caused near panic worldwide before the word also circulated that it was completely inert, without the tide signal. In another part of the table, Todd and Jenny were talking to Pinkie Pie about their daughter's upcoming 5th birthday, and the party pony was already planning a huge blowout. Pinkie was practically vibrating in place with the sheer joy of planning a party for a human child.
You'll have to come to Sugar Cube Corner, of course. There will be cake and ice cream and streamers and games and... What do humans play? You don't have tails, so it doesn't make sense to play pin the tail on the human.
Jenny.
Dazzle!
You're
on!
Oh, whoops. Sorry, I lost track. We played pin the tail on the donkey, actually.
Jenny's eyes were slightly glazed over as the hyperactive pony planned out an extravagant party for her daughter.
Really? Wow. Well, I guess we could play pin the tail on the pony and just say it's a donkey.
As was traditional, everyone ate until their bellies were stuffed full, and much lounging around and talking happened after that. Even Pinkie Pie was barely picking at the 3 slices of pie she had on the plate in front of her. The seating arrangement shuffled around as ponies and humans got up to wander around, this time mingling without any help from Erin.
So, kiddo, I suppose you're turning back after this? Back into a human?
Yep. Though, not right away.
What do you mean?
Well, I can't really say. I promised to keep it a secret. It's just a favor for the princesses.
Her father shrugged and left it at that. While the children played games that seemed to involve mostly running around and screaming until their parents shushed them, the adults all talked about various subjects, including the future of relations between Earth and Equestria, as well as the potential benefits to combining magic and technology. Erin mentioned her intention to stay in Ponyville to study magic, and her family generally reacted with various degrees of support and envy. At one point, little Becky came forward with 2 of the younger girls and informed her aunt that...
The babies want to know if we can have pony rides. And I said I'd go first to make sure it's safe.
Laughing, Erin decided to allow it, with the one strict rule that anyone who got on had to be careful not to damage her dress. It was expensive, after all. She saw Rarity watching apprehensively from a distance as Becky was picked up by her father and lowered gently onto her back. After Becky grabbed her mane and clenched her legs around her ribcage, Erin began a slow circuit of the room. The little girl laughed and giggled the whole time, waving at the adults in the room as they walked by. Eventually, the other girls got to try as well, and Erin added a new rule for Emmy.
No kicking. This is as fast as I'm going, sweetie.
Hours of good conversation and laughter later, well after the last of the just one last slice of pie moments had passed, the adults were finally feeling able to move again, and the night started wrapping up. The parents had to get their kids into bed, in spite of their yawning protests that they weren't really tired. Really, not at all. Erin hugged her brothers, her sister-in-law and nieces goodbye, and promised to visit them more often, now that all the secrecy was over with. Eventually, all that was left was the cleanup. Lynn had shooed everyone else out, including an overly conscientious Fluttershy who'd initially insisted on helping only to be met with a firm statement that guests don't help clean. Erin, however, wasn't so lucky, though she did strip off her evening gown before beginning, much to her father's discomfort.
I'm not going to wreck the dress, Dad. You don't like it. Get the busing cart and take these dishes to the kitchen and start cleaning them.
Her father was only too happy to comply, practically running out of the room amidst the clattering of flatware. Erin, Lynn, and Maggie all finished up with storing all the leftovers, taking down the decorations, cleaning the spilled food and drink off the tables and floor, and bundling up the tablecloths for the laundry. Once the room was restored to meeting-ready status, Erin made her way, yawning and occasionally stumbling in a happy food-induced stupor, back to her room in Canterlot. Even though her room in the Harmonics compound was much closer, her room in the palace just felt so much more comfortable to her. The Ascent labs were finally open and ready for her, and Erin had cleared out her room in the palace and returned to Colorado. She was having one last lunch with her friends in Canterlot, as today was the day that her friends would return home, picking up where they'd left off with their lives. Today was the day that Erin was going to go back into Ascent to start the process of becoming human again. Pinky wasn't happy.
You should stay a pony, Sunflower. I think you make a great pony.
Thank you, Pinky, but I want you guys to get to know the real me, too.
We know the real you. We've met her. She's you. And we like her. It doesn't matter what you look like.
Well, if it doesn't matter what I look like, why does it matter if I'm a human or a pony?
Good point. Hey, are you going to finish that cupcake?
Yes.
The others laughed as Erin made an absurd display of protecting her cupcake, hunching over it with her forelegs on either side and a mock scowl on her face.
My cupcake.
Aww.
Get your own cupcake, Pinky.
Ooh, good idea.
Pinky summoned the waiter while the others shared a laugh. Ba-da-ba-ba, Sora.
It's gonna be a mighty bit strange to see you on two legs, Aaron. It's hard to imagine what you'll look like as a human.
It's still gonna be me, though.
Yes, darling, but I won't be able to make you any further ensembles.
You can't just measure me and make something?
I could, I suppose, and eventually I might be able to figure out how to make something that drapes correctly. Doesn't shave or feels comfortable. My design works for ponies, my dear. Is that humanoids? That's supposed to be.
Hominids.
Hominids.
Hominids are quite difficult.
Oh, it makes sense.
You'll be safe, won't you?
Of course she will.
I'll be fine. I've done it once already, after all.
Are you any faster as a human?
Rainbow Dash focused on the conversation once again. She'd been staring out the window for the last 10 minutes. Specifically, she'd been staring at the sky and unconsciously flexing her wings. If Erin had to guess, her friend was getting bored of the conversation and was aching for some action.
Maybe if I strap a rocket booster meat? No. I'm not much faster in the pony than as a human.
Why change it? I have to agree with Pinky. Seems like you're giving up something a lot of change for how you look.
Getting back hands, though.
What's the big deal with hands?
Everything is easier with hands.
Not flying? Go and come back and be a Pegasus. I'll teach you some cool moves.
She should come back as an earth pony.
No, Pegasus.
A unicorn.
No, why a unicorn, Pinky?
Because then she'd be all pointy.
It's for my sake, too. It's been so long, I just feel I need to reconnect with my humanity. It probably sounds silly, but...
She trailed off, and Rarity nodded understandingly.
It can be quite difficult to remember your roots if you're cut off from them completely.
Erin flashed her a grateful smile.
Anyways, I have to go home for a while after I change. My parents have offered to open up their home to some refugees, and family moving in have two little girls who would be staying in my old room, so I have to go clear that out.
Speaking of returning home, I heard a rumor that the princesses are requesting to close the gates, only to be open occasionally.
Yes, once a month for a 3-day stretch. They're worried about damaging the Vale of Equestria permanently if the gate is kept open for too long.
So, it may be over a month before we see you again?
Yes, Pinky, but look at it this way. That just gives you more time to plan my welcome back party.
Pinky just stared at her for a moment.
You know, why does everyone just assume that I'll throw a party for them? Isn't that kind of rude? Maybe it's because I love throwing parties, you know? I bet that's it.
Erin realized that Pinky was winding her up when her friend winked at her.
Pinky, when I return to Ponyville, I would greatly appreciate having a welcoming party. And as you throwing the best parties of all time, I was hoping that you would be the one to throw that party for me. Would you be so kind as to do me that honor?
My dear Sunflower, it would be my pleasure.
The friends all laughed, and the conversation ranged from point to point after that. One thing that was brought up was what they would do with the TV screen Erin had brought for them.
We could set it up in the library. That would give all of Ponyville access to it, and the movies on it.
There's a problem with that. Ponyville doesn't have an internet connection yet, does it?
Oh, I forgot about that.
That particular technology was still extremely new to the ponies.
I didn't, and I've already sent a FedEx package to the library with a media center I bought. Those can be hooked up to the internet, but can also be used to store and play back movies. I've loaded a bunch of my favorites onto it, and I've included instructions on installation.
Oh, how nice!
Neat! I say we make one night a week designated movie night and get together to watch at least one of them.
Works for me. I've been wanting to watch some more of those action ones.
The friends all talked a bit longer, but then it was finally time for the last train back to Ponyville. Erin walked them to the station, feeling sad. Things were changing, and a part of her was scared that those changes may cause a divide between her and her friends. They said their goodbyes on the train platform with hugs and tears enough to go around. The ponies got on the train, and Erin waved as it pulled out of the station. She stood there, in the cold, for a few minutes, watching until it was out of sight. Then, with a sigh, she turned and walked away. The streets of Canterlot were nearly empty, most of the ponies in town preferring their cozy homes to the chill of the night, especially since a somewhat wicked wind had cropped up. Erin made her lonely way to the castle, deep in thought the whole time. She traced through the familiar corridors of the castle and out into the garden, shivering at the reintroduced cold, then made her way through the gate and back to Colorado. 3 weeks after the tide. It was the single most expensively decorated nursery in the entirety of Equestria, with an antique carved oak crib, magnificent tapestries and paintings depicting, for the most part, bunnies and other woodland creatures playing in the grass, and toys made so long ago that an archaeologist would sit up and take notes. Many of them had teeth marks and drool stains on them by this point. Celestia smiled indulgently at the colt as he stumbled and fell backwards. She had expected him to start crying. Instead, he giggled and started getting back up onto his hooves.
Are you certain this is a good idea, sister?
Celestia's smile faded. Yes, I do. What else could I do? He had the intellect of an infant. It made sense that his body should match. The little colt shook his black mane out of his eyes and smiled up at her, flexing his wings briefly as he tried to walk towards her. Her smile returned, though touched with melancholy. And perhaps this way he could have the childhood he missed out on growing up. He had a terrible childhood. Did I ever mention that?
Oh, I didn't mean that. I meant assuming the role of his mother. I can't see that ending in anything other than complete disaster.
Celestia stared at her smirking younger sister, then grinned back. Oh, like you know anything about raising foals.
I know as much as you do.
Celestia's smile faded yet again. There just never seemed to be time before, for one of my own and a lack of appropriate suitors that may have had something to do with it as well. But now, I find myself feeling oddly complete.
Perhaps motherhood suits you. You definitely have the hips for it.
Celestia flared a wing out, catching Luna sharply on the back of the head.
Oh, I apologize, sister. You have the figure of a mare half your age.
Celestia scowled at her sister in mock anger. Then she sighed and turned back to smile warmly at the colt. I appreciate the attempts at distraction. Luna nodded somberly. Celestia watched the alicorn colt playing for a while longer, then spoke. I know it's not him. Not really. Everything he'd learned, everything he became, is gone. His mind was destroyed, and I wasn't sure that even the two of us together could repair it well enough to make a functioning whole. She looked at Luna and smiled sadly. I know this is not what he would have wanted, but I can't help but think that some part of him would be happy to know that, in a small way, he would live on. Luna nodded.
And for a name, calling him Malachite might bring some unwanted questions.
Questions I will have to answer when he's old enough.
No, sister. Questions that I will answer when he's old enough.
Celestia looked at Luna, confused and slightly annoyed. What do you mean?
I mean that I know you, sister. You will wish to spare him until well past the time he's old enough to learn the truth. And he deserves to know the whole truth, the unvarnished truth, so that he can see the whole of the grain, including the flaws.
Luna.
No, this is for me to do. I will be the one that tells him the terrible truth before he finds it out himself. The one that he hates for upsetting his life, for telling him things he'd rather not, the things he'd rather never know. And you will be the one who helps him to make sense of it all, and who helps him put the pieces back together. I am quite firm on this, sister. You know it is for the best.
Celestia stared at her younger sister for a long while, finally nodding her agreement. Regarding a name, Malachite is gone, effectively dead. This colt deserves a new name to go on with his life. He was named after stone before, but his passion was always the study of life. I believe his new name should reflect that. How do you feel about having a nephew named Prince Verdant?
Verdant. Why, yes, I believe that would suit him admirably. Wait, nephew!
But of course, Auntie Luna, Celestia said, chuckling as the newly named Prince Verdant collapsed on top of a pile of antique wooden blocks. This time, he did start wailing. Celestia clucked with concern and rushed to his side to comfort him.
Auntie Luna. Yes. I think I would like that very much.
3 months after the tide. The second emitter lab, built back when the portal to Equestria was open constantly, was small and cramped compared to the main lab, and had an unpleasant smell slightly reminiscent of a locker room. Maggie despised coming here, but wherever there was a possible hit from the scanning team, it was her job to check them out. She preferred not to leave that task in anyone else's hands.
Are we opening it soon?
The voice piped up, from about the height of Maggie's elbow. She smiled warmly down at the mint green unicorn who'd moved into the harmonics lab and became their unofficial mascot.
Yes, we are. I'm actually surprised that you're still so excited to see these, Lyra.
Are you kidding? You're opening doors to whole new worlds. That's easily the most exciting thing I've ever heard of.
Yes, but most of the time we end up looking out into empty space or an airless hunk of rock.
True, but that doesn't really change how exciting it is.
The emitters started to hum, and the unicorn squealed with delighted anticipation. A couple of the techs out on the floor chuckled warmly at the sound. Lyra was really adored by the whole team and considered by many to be good luck for the project.
Maybe it's still that way for you, but I've attended hundreds of these. If I got excited every time.
The window blipped into existence, and Maggie stopped, looking towards it.
Maggie? Isn't that plant life?
Maggie just stared at the window. For the first time since Equestria, she saw another world that was obviously capable of supporting life. Even though the window wasn't completely open, all tests were conducted behind an airtight, sterilized plexiglass and steel chamber, designed to prevent any Earth contaminants entering new worlds, and vice versa. And, clearly visible through the clear chamber walls, was a very normal-looking tree standing on a hill, surrounded by a meadow full of strange purple flowers. The technicians on the floor had started babbling excitedly at this new discovery. Maggie snapped herself out of her stupor and began issuing orders.
Increase emitter output and open a full gateway.
The hum of the emitters increased. The image shimmered, changing from a mere visual into an actual opening into the foreign world.
Launch the drones, get the base set up. Now! Go! Before the gateway closes out!
Several dozen drones, stationed in the room on standby, zipped off into the new world. A robot on treads detached itself from the wall and trundled its way through the newly formed gate. The fusion-powered robot, a new addition since they'd found Equestria, would act as a base station, collecting the data from the drones and greatly extending their range as it moved itself through the land. In addition, several powerful vacuum pumps started up, pumping the air from the foreign environment into the sterile tanks for analysis. Dust, spores, and pollen could all be analyzed, along with the chemical makeup of the air itself.
You're launching drones?
Maggie, still transfixed on the sight before her, just nodded.
Well, try not to wake up any ancient evil creatures this time, okay?
Maggie chuckled, though her attention was primarily focused on the screen in front of her.
Atmosphere looks good. Oxygen at 22%. Nitrogen at 77, about 48% humidity. 75 degrees Fahrenheit, or about 24 Celsius. Seems like a nice day.
Gravity is about the same as ours, give or take 100%.
Maggie felt like bounding across the room in pure joy.
Any signs of civilization yet?
Not yet. No signs of radio broadcasts, at least. And no signs of development or structures. Far too early to call it yet, though.
Of course.
Maggie?
Yes, Lyra?
You know that job you wanted me to do? The one that you probably thought I'd never have to worry about?
Yes.
Maggie was still distracted by the sight in front of her. Had she asked Lyra to do something?
Oh, you mean checking for magic?
Yes, there's a magical field there.
Maggie stopped and blinked at her.
Magic?
Yes, though it feels odd. Compared to Equestria, I mean.
Maggie took a moment to process that.
How exactly is it odd?
I don't know, like wild or something? A little scary. It's really hard to say without setting a hoof in there.
Well, we can't have you do that yet. We need to investigate the place a little bit more first.
Lyra nodded, frowning at the gateway.
Is something wrong?
Not really, just not what I'm used to. The magical field of Equestria seems, well, smooth compared to that. It's a little rough over there.
Do you think it's dangerous?
You would figure that the one thing wrong with this new world so far would be the one thing humanity had almost no experience with.
No. Or at least I don't know for sure. I'll let you know when I can actually go there and try to use it.
Use it? Would that be dangerous?
Maybe, but that's what I'm paid the big bids for, right?
Don't do anything right now. I want other unicorns here as backup, in case something goes wrong.
Okay.
They gathered as much data as they could on the new world before the fields shifted enough that they lost the window. The gateway blipped out of existence as quickly as it had appeared.
Do you think this is it? A new world for people?
Far too early to tell. It seems quite likely, though, if only because we no longer desperately need it. Irony is a fine thing.
She pulled up a video screen at her station and started dialing up the office of Robert Thompson. It would be nice to give the old man some good news for a change. 4 months after the tide. Erin stepped off the train from Canterlot, feeling once again awkward and uncertain around the ponies of Ponyville. She wasn't sure if she was actually being stared at, or if she was just self-conscious about her recent change, but she nevertheless trotted quickly through the streets in the cool air of an equestrian spring evening. She'd come through the Canterlot gate just a few hours ago, meeting with both the princesses before catching the train. Both Celestia and Luna had given her new body amused glances before asking if she'd like to have some tea, which, of course, was special princess code for, "This is an excuse for us to sit you down and interrogate you for a while. Won't that be nice?" Still, the tea had been delicious, as well as the cookies. In spite of being pumped for information, she'd had a wonderful time. That is, up until they were interrupted by a small, rambunctious dark green colt with a messy black mane, who insisted on clambering up on Celestia's back and tugging on her hair. Celestia excused herself and left to put the colt to bed.
Was that?
Erin stared after the retreating princess in mild shock. The princesses had told her months ago what their plan was, but to see the results of it for herself had been beyond unexpected.
Prince Verdant. And no, he's not Malachite. It would be more appropriate to say that Verdant is his son, after a fashion, and the child knows nothing of his previous life.
How were you able to do that?
It was difficult. His mind was in pieces, what was left of it. The elements had done what they could, but healed him incompletely. A sin to reform his body, and we did the rest. If we had left him as he was, he never would have grown past what you had seen when Celestia finished the tide. We made his mind an infant, so that he could grow again, learn again.
I see.
This troubles you.
Erin considered that for a moment.
It did, I admit. But now that I've seen him, he seems to be a perfectly normal child. I can't hold Malachite's actions against him.
Still, Erin thought that it was downright spooky what the princesses could do sometimes. She'd left shortly after that to catch the train to Ponyville. Her friends had long since returned to their lives, and she hadn't seen them in a month. She was really looking forward to seeing them again, though she was really worried about how they'd react when they saw her. She was now in Equestria by special invitation of the princesses, and here to study magic at the request of her own government, who had offered to pay her expenses. The last time she'd been here, she'd actually gotten a lucky break on a small cottage, and had put down a deposit and paid several months' rent up front, much to her landlady's happy surprise. She walked quickly through the familiar town, ignoring the questioning stares from the ponies passing by, until she got to the library. Reaching up, she knocked with a hoof, then waited for Spike to open the door. The little dragon took one look at her, and his eyes bugged out.
Holy guacamole! Twilight, come quick!
Aaron heard a discussion in the background get interrupted as Twilight excused herself and trotted up to the door.
What is it, Spike? Oh, Aaron, you're a pony again.
Yeah, I am.
And you're a unicorn.
Twilight looked at the horn on her head with a confused look.
Yep, that too. There's also this.
Aaron spread her wings. There was a long, strained silence when Twilight just gaped at her, and then the unicorn shouted.
What the heck did you do?
Well, I decided you were right. It's silly to keep going back to the Ascent every few months to change into a different type of pony.
Twilight was still gaping at her, and Aaron started feeling really uncomfortable.
And Malachite was a long time ago, so I feel less weird about it now.
Twilight was still just staring. As the silence dragged on, she started to fidget, scraping at the floor with a hoof.
Are you okay, Twilight?
I'm not sure. I wasn't expecting this. Why didn't you say anything last month?
I hadn't made up my mind then. Plus, I was having too much fun being stared at by every pony within blocks.
Aaron's previous visit to Ponyville, when the gateway to Earth was last open, had been as a human. News of the humans had spread pretty far, and they weren't an uncommon sight in Canterlot. But Ponyville was far enough off the beaten path that they still hadn't seen many at that time, outside of the occasional documentary crew. Her existence had been the cause of a lot of stares and whispers, though no one seemed to connect the visiting human with the mare named Sunflower at the time.
I'm completely speechless. You know, a pony with wings and a horn is usually a princess, right?
Oh, well, that would explain why every pony on the train was staring at me like that. And why Celestia and Luna looked like they were trying not to laugh. Are ponies gonna get upset by this?
Well, probably not. Wow. Even though it was my suggestion, I can't believe you actually did this.
Twilight started laughing, and Aaron felt embarrassed.
It's too much, isn't it? I should probably go back and just have them make me a unicorn or something.
No. It's totally fine. Princess Sunflower.
Aaron frowned at the unicorn in front of her, and Twilight's lips started quivering. Then she lost it, laughing so hard she collapsed to the ground.
I should never have let you talk me into this.
Twilight eventually calmed down enough to invite her in, and Aaron hesitantly went into the library to find the rest of her friends waiting for her. This dinner had been planned weeks ago, the last time Aaron had been in Ponyville. She told her friends then that she was planning on moving here to continue her studies into the nature of magic. That's when Pinkie had decided to plan a party, but Aaron had quickly vetoed her. She told them that she'd much rather just have a quiet dinner with friends so they could catch up on each other's lives. And then they could have a party the next day to celebrate her first full day as an official citizen of Ponyville. Pinkie had wholeheartedly agreed to that, happy as could be, as long as she got to throw a party at some time. Aaron had been really looking forward to it, but now she was concerned that she'd just be a laughingstock. After Twilight's reaction, her friends' laughter and teasing wasn't unexpected. To her surprise, though, as soon as the laughter died down, Rainbow Dash immediately offered to teach her how to use her new wings. Aaron had eagerly accepted, as flying was one of the things she was most excited to learn.
I suppose as an alicorn, you're gonna have some pretty fantastic speed, huh?
I doubt it. Malachite didn't know how to make an alicorn like the princesses, so he just kind of mushed the three pony types together into one body. Herman and the Ascent team had tried to modify Malachite's design, but, well, he was a genius when it came to pony biology, and it's not nearly as well known human scientists. They did the best they could, but I really doubt that I'll be anything above average.
She went on to explain that this current body wasn't their first attempt. At first, they tried making a humanoid pony that resembled her own original body, but with pony organs. But something got lost in the translation, and Lyra had confirmed that Erin had absolutely zero magical ability. Herman had offered to try again, but Erin had said no. She'd been eager to get started, and told them that someone else could be the pony-human hybrid test subject. As soon as she'd woken up in her pseudo-alicorn form, she hadn't needed Lyra's confirmation of magical ability. She'd been able to sense the unicorn's magic-storing torque as soon as she'd walked into Erin's room. She was glad that she insisted on having the normal-sized pony stature, though, rather than being enormous like Celestia and Luna. She felt that, correct apparently, she'd have a hard enough time fitting in without also towering over every pony else. The friends chatted for a short while, catching up on the business of the town. Erin was pleased to find out that Meadowlark and Starburst had gotten married, finally, and were currently on their honeymoon, with Marigold staying with her grandparents. It still hurt that Meadowlark hadn't wanted to renew their friendship, but she couldn't exactly blame the mare. Then the topic turned to how things were going on Earth.
It's exciting times, and not always in a good way. Lots of people are just really, really upset about Ascent.
Why is that? I think having the ability to cure any disease or illness would be universally approved of.
Near universally, yes. There are a few people who think it's unclean or against the will of God or some such thing. Most people seem to accept it just fine, though, and that's the problem. There's no way that there are enough Ascent offices open right now to meet the demand for everyone who wants it.
Erin went on to explain the enormous cost and difficulty involved in setting up Ascent offices around the world, though the cost had already come down considerably over the last few months. As it was, each office could handle anywhere from 10 to 20 clients in a week, with each office having waiting lists in the thousands or tens of thousands.
We're building them as fast as we can, but the cost is another sticking point. The Ascent Committee owns ones that are just used for the terminally ill, and those are free to use, but there are still more sick than there are offices to treat them. The rest, the ones who license the Ascent technology, charge outrageously, and people who can afford it are more than happy to pay. Those that don't have the money, though,
Oh dear, is there any way I can help?
Erin smiled at the white unicorn. It wasn't an idle question. Rarity had launched a human-based style and accessory line on Earth, run by human proxies, but with all design choices approved by the fashionista herself. Rarity Inc. could indeed help, as the company was now highly profitable. But Erin simply smiled and shook her head.
you're doing enough, Rarity. Your company is already giving almost all of its profit to charity.
If you say so. Still, I think I'll send a quick note to Amy about it. Maybe there's still something we can do.
Rarity had assigned the CEO position in her company to a human woman named Amy Marlis, who'd managed to impress the unicorn with her business savvy and fashion sense. The mayor preferred the more personal touch of her carousel boutique to running a large design company. She sent over the new design ideas every month and received reports, updates, and feedback on fashion trends each time the gateway to Earth was opened.
Sadly, this isn't something that can be fixed right away. It isn't even an issue with money, really. There just aren't enough trained technicians or facilities yet. They're building and training as fast as they can, but it's still going to be a while before Ascent technology is readily available and inexpensive enough for everyone.
Oh, that's terrible. And people are angry?
Many are, yes. There's lots of people pushing to make terminally ill people the top priority, and there's a huge amount of support for that. But the companies say that they need the huge fees from the rich to continue to expand, and that this is the fastest way to get Ascent for everyone. I don't know. It's a mess.
When is that office going to open up over there? There are lots of ponies that could be using it, including my granny.
Well, they have a group of pony technicians in training, and they're planning on opening the first office in Manhattan by the end of the year.
Wait. If it's so super hard to get into this ascent lab, then how did you get your new pony buddy?
Erin sighed. This was actually something she felt horribly guilty about, even though it wasn't her doing at all.
The original lab, the one in the harmonics facility, is for official use only. Because of that, it's almost never used. When I think about how many lives could be saved every month with just that one, even though it's older and slower than the new ones, it turns my stomach a little, but that's how I was able to get changed like this. Because the government asked me to study magic, and it would help to be able to use magic to study it.
That makes sense, I guess. But it's a pity they don't use that for one of the sick children.
Erin agreed, but then decided that she'd had enough of this topic for now. It was something that had been twisting her up for a while now, and she wanted to enjoy this first evening back with her friends.
That reminds me, one of the major concerns about Ascent is what we're going to do with the resulting population boom. If nobody ever has to die of illness or old age, well, there's 7 billion of us already, and we've lost a lot of farmlands to the tide.
That sounds like an ugly problem. Maybe we could send some earth ponies over to help with the farming.
Well, that would be nice, but hopefully unnecessary. They never stop looking for new worlds with Project Harmonix, looking for new worlds we can expand to or even just get resources from, and believe it or not, we've already found one.
Whoa, really? That's awesome!
Yeah, and what's more, Lyra says that it has some sort of magic field of its own, just a little different from Equestria.
Whoa! What are the people like there? Are they nice?
We don't think it's inhabited, or at least not by intelligent life. We haven't seen any signs of habitation or anything so far.
What are you planning on doing with it? Humans, I mean, not you personally.
Well, the plan is to make absolutely sure that there are no intelligent life forms, and then it will be open for colonization. And then it will be open for colonization by both ponies and humans.
The others seemed surprised by that.
It's in the agreement, remember? We signed an agreement that ponies would get access to both Ascent technology and any habitable worlds we find. It's a nice place so far, from what I've heard. Very much like Earth and Equestria, having similar plants and animals with a few differences. The official word, no, the official name of that world is Harmony. Maggie and Lyra picked it together.
You're not planning on going exploring in another new world, are you, Aaron?
No, I've had enough of that for now. Somebody else can go face the great unknown. I'm perfectly happy spending the next few years of my life here, studying magic.
Won't you miss your family?
Well, yeah, of course, but I can visit them once a month, or even more often if Celestia and Luna decide it's okay to open the gateways more frequently. But they were talking about changing it to twice a month, or maybe even one day a week?
That would be awesome! You still owe me a visit to that Blue Angels thing you promised before.
I haven't forgotten. There's a whole lot of Earth that I want to show you guys.
They continued to talk well into the night, happy in each other's company. Eventually, just after midnight, the group started wrapping up. Applejack, as was usual, was the first to go, citing early morning farm work as why she needed to get home. The others all left shortly after, leaving Erin in the library with Twilight and the already sleeping Spike. Erin spent the night in Twilight's guest bed, and in the morning she found her a new home, a small cottage on the outskirts of Ponyville. All of the equipment she'd ordered was there already, including the solar panels, which she would have to install in place of the thatched roof. She spent an hour or so unpacking some of her things, and then decided not to rush it. She'd be here for a while after all. Instead, she went outside, just standing in her new backyard with her eyes closed, breathing the clean air and enjoying the serene, near quiet of a Ponyville morning.
Oh, hey there.
Erin opened her eyes to see a familiar gray Pegasus just exiting the house next to hers.
You must be our new neighbor. Nice to meet you.
Oh, hi. Yes, I am. Say, don't you work for the Royal Mail Service?
Yep. And you work for FedEx, right? Or at least you used to. Are you going to work for them again now that you're back?
I don't know.
The truth was, she didn't need to get a job this time. Technically, her job was to research magic. But working for FedEx had been fun, and it was a good way to meet and interact with a lot of ponies. She had fond memories of working there. Well, except for the uniform. But maybe Rarity could help with that.
You know what? I think I might.
Oh, that's good. They could use the help. The worker they hired after you didn't work out and ended up quitting after just one day.
Ooh, that's too bad.
Anyway, gotta fly. Work starts soon. Oh, and nice wings and horn. Those are new, right?
Erin grinned and affirmed that they were, in fact, brand new. The Pegasus smiled and waved as she flew away, and Erin waved back, kicking herself when she realized that she'd never asked for her new neighbor's name. She went back into the little cottage, taking a mental inventory of all the things she needed to buy. It was a cute house, but it definitely needed some touches, and maybe some new furniture. Well, at least she knew where she could buy a new sofa, as well as any quills she might need. And still, she had a party to look forward to tonight. One that she hoped would be just one of many more to come. Equestria held many secrets, and not just magic. There were chimeras and hydras and all sorts of other things, and apparently, zebras had their own magic as well, completely unrelated to pony magic. As Erin began clearing her little cottage, she reflected that there were few fates more pleasant than having a lot to keep her occupied. But with no rush to get it done and the prospect of good times spent with good friends to help pass the time. And so, she began her first full day as an official citizen of Ponyville, pleased with her place in the world. A place that included a most fascinating field of study: the magic of friendship.
Have one.
But be
All right,
sure
that's
you
enough.
scream into the swide whistle.
I don't know if any of you were watching stream, but I literally just queued up the outro.
Oh,
Yay.
nice!
Oh, oh, my
That's fantastic.
soul.
Oh,
Level.
Oh,
that was a good one.
Yes, it
We
was.
actually broke Winchester for once.
I
Yay,
just
for once
don't
I did
know
my
what
job
went
right.
wrong.
I just don't know what went wrong.
I don't know what went wrong. Hooray. I just don't know what went wrong.
I blame Winchester for
I
Oh,
wasn't
whoever did
ready
that?
for all of those accents for the text.
So whoever did that, I'm hiring you. I need buttered toast. Congratulations, you're Ed.
Who needs buttered toast?
Butter
I
toast.
was like, I was
Butter
like, oh, you
toast.
know what? Texts are normally Indian. Let's go for that.
You have no idea how tempted I was to do my zebras for him. I was so tempted.
I don't know how old Becky was supposed to have been. I think I might have been doing a bit too young.
I think that was
supposed
actually
to be
about
really
perfect.
young.
Yeah, it felt right to me.
It was good.
Just basically like the ringleader of the little kids that can't quite speak and communicate properly yet.
Oh my.
Yeah.
You seem to know quite a bit.
My family had similar deals. That was the group of children I avoided because I avoid children.
Same here. Children suck.
I mostly just avoid children that are incapable of speaking or having any sort of intelligence. Yes.
Oh
Yeah,
my.
children are terrible unless they're your own. Then you think they're great.
Children
Because-
go great with a side of marinara sauce.
Kill a
He's
fire!
not wrong.
One bit of advice, Winchester. Don't miss the first shot. I'm very fast.
You're such a fucking casual. It's better
Well,
with
this
garlic
is a
sauce.
speed pump
Little
shotgun.
Garlic sauce is what you need.
Oh no! I'm going to get shot in the face.
Oh yeah, I was going to
He
say
took-
we have Prince Dazzle here. We can have a return of King Candy.
Oh, well. Give me a second.
Because we
Oh,
haven't had a
I'm
King
sorry.
Candy since Snowblitz left.
King Candy is so silly. It's so fun and silly that we have to do a lot of things. Why do you need me around anyway?
Winchester, give me that gun. Give it to me right now. I don't know who it's for, but someone's gonna need to bury a body.
What's the Oh, I have a candy cane shaped like a shovel. The shovel. I can't say it.
And I must say right now, because it's very important to state right at the second, thank you so much for Cinder for suggesting bringing this wonderful new voice actor onto our stream.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Honestly, Dazzle is a wonder to have here. I wish we had him earlier.
Hooray.
Well, I don't want to go poking in the server every day going, hey, who wants to do unpaid readings for the next umpteen years?
Well, the only problem I tend to have is I get out. Normally, I would have gotten out of work 30 minutes ago, so usually that's my problem.
But I also know
once-
your work is turning 90 degrees.
Very true. Though once every 3 weeks, I don't have to work Wednesdays.
Alrighty, so Winchester Wednesdays has a new reading schedule once every 3 weeks.
Damn it.
Actually, that would
Project
probably work out fairly decently, because then we'd actually have a schedule people could set.
Yep. And for those who really enjoyed the story, you can also read the side stories and the unfinished sequel on FimFiction.
What doesn't that sound lovely?
Which we may or may not read in the future. We haven't decided yet. But
No, we want to go somewhere else.
well,
That was actually really hilarious. I actually did. I
And
actually
Winchester
completely-
has still not decided what to do for the next big fic.
I completely spaced that I was supposed to read for Jenny.
Jenny.
Jenny, what are you doing?
I don't know. I think that like awkward silence of like 5 minutes with not saying anything was pretty great.
Gee, did the cute pony break you? I'm sorry. I'll be less cute. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and then there was the time I tried the Broly voice and the whatever, just insecure and all that. Just
What?
I'm confused. Oh, I'm
I
gonna have to
s- I don't know, I
start
thought-
stabbing.
I
Hey,
thought we
do
were
you all
talking
remember the
about other
time-
voices, but I was just trying to get something into this one, and I was just whatever.
Do you remember the time at the beginning of this reading where I said flutter high?
Yeah,
And then I desperately tried to hold it together.
Hey,
I'm not
Flutter
sure.
High. How you all doing?
And not show that I thought it was really fucking funny. I kept trying to not think about it, and then somebody fucking said it in the chat, and I'm like, God fucking damn it.
Oh, yes. Honestly,
that
I'm
sounded
surprised that it took that little time.
Dang it, that's what I should have done with my Fluttershy doodle.
Flutter
She
high?
drew a doobie in her mouth. Flutter high.
Oh, right. I should actually look at all of the doodles you did. Because I
Yeah.
just saw it go by there and didn't actually look at it.
Yeah,
I was
look at
gonna
my
say
little
that'd
doodles.
be a worthy thing to
Show
show
on
on
stream?
stream.
As opposed to the other shit that's in this chat? Yeah.
Yes.
I had a lot of fun reading stuff.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. I can't wait to conscript you into doing this for the rest of your life. Wait, what?
Conscript.
Well, I had
Tell me,
fun as
Dazzle.
well.
Have you ever heard the term involuntary servitude? Unconscionable contract?
I think the term you're looking for is being voluntold to do things.
No, it's called
Involuntary.
slavery here.
Common
Wait,
misconception, but involuntary.
Hold on. Sora, is that Pinkie Pie dabbing?
Yes.
I mean,
To the wall.
Okay, look, I just know window was mentioned a lot, so my brain trailed off and was like, draw to the window, to the wall. Why not?
You know what I could do?
Go to the wall.
Let's see if I could find it. Back when I was actually drawing last year, I drew Celestia dabbing.
God.
Oh, the dub last year?
No, I
Yeah.
needed this in my life. Did you?
Let's see if I could find it. It's been so long since I've drawn something.
Also, I love how we're just getting an image into Sora's mind through the whole reading.
Yeah, for some reason I was like, draw Pinky's butt, and I'm like, no. And it's like, do it. And I said, okay.
Well, were you talking to Forest Thunder?
No.
Oh, okay. Oh.
I think I burnt Sora. Sorry, Sora.
It's okay.
What the hell?
I'm
Chat,
glad
you do
that-
not want to see what's in the hidden chat.
I'm glad that my hidden chat is hidden and not public.
Oh, hot damn.
I don't know.
I feel
That's
sorry
just
for the
my
one person that's
jam.
in chat that can
Keep me
actually see it, who I know
partying
doesn't
till
want
the
to.
AM.
Also, like that guy's must need to compensate for something.
All around me are familiar faces.
Ah,
I mean,
here we go.
if you look at the right-hand side of it, it just kind of looks like a bird.
And on that bombshell, let us get to outro. So, we'll start with shout-outs for
Simple
Sora.
subs.
Sora, do a shout-out.
My shout outs to dogs, because they're great. Dogs are
oh,
wonderful.
oh.
All right. And next, on to Cinder.
I want to thank all of you for having me. And honestly, this has been quite enjoyable. And in the end, however, I am looking forward to what we do next.
Woohoo! I got somebody to
Next
stick.
time, you'll allow me to be perhaps next time you'll allow me to put the mad in the mad scientist. I will still be German. Fuck you, Forrest.
Und German, of course we come.
Will we
I'll
still
let you
have
put-
sexy Cinder come back?
Guten Nacht.
Well, if you really want. Lovely.
All
I
right.
mean, I'll let you put something in the scientist.
Oh God. Alrighty, next shout outs for Prince Dazzle.
Hey, already? Am I actually supposed to shout?
Okay, give me a second. I will shout as loud as possible. Ah. Was that good enough for you?
Is it
I
Livio's
wish
No.
that was what my
Oh.
pastor did when he said shout.
Lycan, it's Leviosa.
Oh.
Anyways, I loved being here, even though it was a short line. I should hope to do things again.
Alrighty. And next on to Forest Rain for shout outs.
Shout outs to migraines. They've been with me my whole life. I can always rely on them. They'll always be there for me. Fucking hate migraines. Aside from that, shout outs to the Easy Pawn near my house because I went and sold some stuff there the other day and then I turned around and gave them money because they had a friggin' badass djembe. So I have a djembe now. And that makes me super happy. I got a $200 djembe for $60.
Send
You
me a
have-
picture so I know what the fuck you're talking about.
Wait, a gem bay? You have an entire thing of water made of gems? I prefer.
Do you mean Jinbei?
I mean, djembe. DJEMBE.
No, she means Harambe.
I do not mean Harambe.
Could I have a pool full of jello? I wanted to hit it and make it go whoop, 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 whoop.
I'm not going to hit it with you.
I can't tell if you're trying for a Hamstar voice or not.
What? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm talking too much.
I can't tell if you're going for a Hamstar voice or not.
Yeah, Hamsar. I remember Hamsar.
Hamstar,
Leslie,
whatto?
I got you a picture of a djembe here. I'll just post it in here. Here you go. This is the exact
Alrighty.
one I have.
Alrighty. Oh, cool. That's what it is.
Oh, okay.
And next on the Double R Forest.
I want to give my shout out to cats and horses and snakes and literally every other animal because all the animals are better than the demon spawn called dog.
And Double R
Bounty Hunter?
has now lost his rights to shout outs for the rest of the stream. CMC, your shout out.
Fires, explosions, Rafasa, venison jerky, Eloise, Roan, and cats are the best. No one can say anything else. You can't convince me.
What about
I fucking
ponies?
hate cats. Anyways. Yes. Thank you all for showing up.
Do I get shout-outs?
I thought you were
No.
first.
No, I wasn't first. That was
Okay,
Shout-outs
like and
for
shout-outs.
Triple Flips.
Hooray! Shout-outs to the new Ponies at Dawn album that is coming out this Saturday. And who's going to be the commentator? That would be moi.
And
So 7 hours of brand new music. Yeehaw!
Wait, where can we find that on the interwebs?
You can find that on Ponyville FM. Tune in on Saturday, or you can go to poniesatdawn.bandcamp.com if you want to pre-order the album.
Ha! Suck it, Circuit Main.
alrighty. Yes, please.
Okay.
I mean, technically, I mean, it's Ponyville FM. Technically, they're an affiliate.
Oh, okay. That's fine then.
Oh, they are? Okay.
But yes. So, no, that actually leads perfectly into something else. Please go check out Mogul Dash's stream. Her stream is Sunday evenings, back where they originally were, doing different music stuff and games. So go check that out. It's always a fun time.
We had fun flailing with Phasmophobia. It was weird.
I'd be bad
And
at
none
that
of us
game.
none of us looked at the tutorial, and we all had fun.
I can't do scary games because I scream like a little girl.
I watched like halfway
That's
through
part
it.
of
And
the fun.
I watched for like 20 minutes into it and went, oh god, this is like a cheap. Like, it wasn't the fact of mogul streaming, it was the fact that I don't think I'd like that type of game because I hate those shitty, like, Ghost Hunter TV shows that are just like, basically the thing, whatever mogul would be like, is there anybody with us? Is there anybody with us? It was like grating cheese. Like, you running a cheese grater against my skull is what is a good mental image for that. So,
That sounds like fun. Can we try that?
as long as we use someone else's skull, I vote Double R because he apparently needs some work up there.
Death to dogs.
So, well, death to cats. There you go. So,
fuck
without
your
further ado, we shall end it. So, everybody say goodbye.
Bye.
Ooh.
the silver rain, sun showers, silver over the lavender cloud. May the sweet breeze blow to hold you, and this blessing be sung aloud. Take flight, go take flight, take flight. May the stars all shine and greet you. May you fly over soft meadow moon. May the silver glow adorn you. Morning dawn delight you soon.
Thank you all for showing up. It's been fun. I hope you all enjoyed yourself. This is Winchester 572 going 10-7. I'm out. Bye-bye.